Hey guys, Danny here from the Couch Gnomes with a brand spanking new video for you today. So I buy a lot of video games, like a lot. Like probably more than I really should. And sometimes multiple games come out at the same time, so I never get a chance to play some of the other games that I buy. Until now, that is! So today I'm going to look back at some of the games that I either bought or received and never really had a chance to dive into. So I've got 3 games that I want to talk about today, all of which are indie. So let's get into this. So the first game we're going to talk about today is called Flinthook. Leading up to this game, I was really excited about it. The main character was adorable, and the primary mechanic of shooting a grappling hook and flying all around the stage looked really fun. But what I hadn't realized until I finally sat down to play it was that this game was a roguelite. So you go from room to room trying to reach the end of the level, and each room is procedurally generated, so there is no direct path to take to get to the end. It'll be random and different every single time you play. This means you have to explore a bit more to find your way, rather than something like Mario where you just run to the right and enter the castle to get to the next level. And personally, I just really was not into roguelite games at the time. I played for a few hours and I had a pretty good time. So I told myself, I'll take a break and I'll come back to it later. And now, after about 2 years in playing Moonlighter, which I also did an impressions video on, I'm finally back to Flinthook. Aside from the basic mechanics of a roguelite I explained earlier, the other important part of Flinthook is the arsenal of weapons you're given. There's the quick hook for movement, the plasma pistol for fighting, the chrono buckle to slow down time to dodge enemies and pass through plasma barriers, and lastly there's your little buddy Slimy, who you'll feed ghost gems so you can find the final boss. But the bosses in this game are definitely no pushovers, and you need to go into their fights fully equipped to take them down. And you'll do that by pretty much grinding out levels. You enter your own ship, and then you fly off to take on enemy ships from each boss's legion. You'll get XP from killing enemies, finding items, clearing out monster rooms quickly, all kinds of different things. While you're in the enemy ship, you have a bunch of different obstacles you have to deal with. Sometimes you're going to enter a room that has 2 pedestals with giant gems on top, and you get to pick one of them. And this one gem will either benefit you with a blessing or punish you with a curse. So sometimes you get a boost to your damage, and other times your max health gets decreased. It's a pretty big crapshoot. And you also meet a bunch of enemies that you'll have to take the time to learn how to defeat. So for example, in World 2, there are these bulldogs that have spinning maces on their collars, and you have to slow down time to actually deal damage to them. And with all these mechanics in mind, you have to power through each room until you get to the end and either beat the boss or die trying. But either way it ends, you earn card packs, which contain new perks, like earning additional XP, giving you a bigger chrono buckle gauge to slow down time longer, or making your bullets ricochet off walls. But don't worry, you can't buy these card packs, you can only earn them by leveling up, so there's no microtransactions in this game. You also earn green coins, which are used for general upgrades, like increasing your max HP or the number of perk slots you have. So far, of all the games I'm going to talk about today, this is the only one I haven't beaten, because it's really challenging. But difficulty aside, Flinthook is a fun game that I'm glad I got back to, and I really want to make this game last, so I'm going to take my time with it. Now the next game I'm going to talk about is pretty unique. It's actually a game called Serial Clean...
Are you filming a video again? And that's my old camera. I miss it. I hope it's working well for you.
Whew. Sorry about that. The next game we're going to talk about is Serial Cleaner. In Serial Cleaner, there's a serial killer on the loose, and you are his go-to guy when it comes to cleaning up after his murder sprees. You need to remove the bodies, vacuum up the blood, and get out of there before the cops find you. I actually don't remember ever buying this game, but I've seen it in my PlayStation library forever, and I'm glad I finally had a chance to download it and actually play. This game is definitely challenging, but it's not impossible. It's a bunch of trial and error, learning the path to the police officers, and finding the best way to dispose of each body effectively. But if one of those officers happens to catch you, you can try and run and hide in a trailer or a cabinet or even a box. Stupid copper, I'm in the box! You have no idea! But something to keep in mind is that the levels in this game are very close quartered, which makes avoiding being seen that much more important. Sometimes I'd be so close to finishing a level, but then I would get snagged on a wall or a doorway, and then the cops would beat me down and force me to start the level over again. It was pretty infuriating, but it just made me want to get back in there and show that level who was in charge. It's actually kind of hard to talk about this game for too much longer because there really isn't that much depth to it. It sort of just is what it is. There isn't that much plot to the story. It's pretty basic until you reach the final few levels of the game. But if you're a trophy hunter, this game is a pretty easy platinum. It's basically beat the game, get the collectibles, and do a few side quests here and there. The hardest trophy is probably cleaning 100% of the blood on every level. But if you try and do that while you're playing the game, rather than going back for an additional playthrough, it's doable. You also need to play through all the bonus levels as well so you can get that platinum trophy. But they're all pretty cool because they're based on various movies like Monty Python and Star Wars. So if you're looking for a fun challenge that's easy to understand but difficult to master, Serial Cleaner might just be the game for you. Now if you guys watched my most anticipated games of 2019 video, you would see that I was really excited for a game called Falcon Age on the PlayStation VR. Now that game was fun, but I want to talk about an older VR game for the PlayStation 4. A game that I should have played a long time ago. And this game is called Moss. Now I did technically play this game before, but it was just the demo version on the PSVR demo disc. And I will tell you, it was a much better experience being able to play through the whole story. First things first, Quill is your main character, and she is freaking adorable. The story of the game is that you're the reader, who is reading Quill's story. So you get to interact with the world around you while controlling Quill at the same time, throughout her platforming adventure. The world is filled with fun and intricate puzzles that never really repeat themselves, or felt too challenging. Just required a moment to step back, look at the level as a whole, and get your resolution. Virtual reality is immersive. We hear that in all the ads, the press conferences, everything. But until you put on the headset for the very first time, it's just an experience you just won't understand. Now, one of the funniest things I actually remember experiencing while I was playing Moss is that Quill was behind a wall, and I leaned forward so I could see her, and my eye got really close to this sharp stick, and I panicked and lunged backwards, because I didn't want my eye to get poked out. And then I realized that this is just a game that can't physically hurt me, and I got a good laugh out of it. Playing through the story of Moss, Quill became my little buddy, and I actually called her that every single moment I could. Whenever she'd get hurt, I'd audibly gasp, or even just reload the checkpoint so she wasn't hurt anymore.
What?
A really cool trait to Quill herself is that she speaks sign language. So at one point in the game where they introduce you to the healing mechanic, Quill signs you thank you, and it was the most precious thing I'd ever seen in a video game. Ever. As you get deeper and deeper into the story, you discover bigger and more impressive set pieces. Being inside these small environments was incredible. It was almost like in 3rd grade when that one kid had the coolest diorama, because the architect of a dad built the whole thing for him. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Vlad! Like seriously, the whole thing was about Thomas Edison. It had light bulbs with wires and spinning bits, and it just pissed me off. All right, Danny, calm down. It's all right. It's okay. It's all right. It's 3rd grade, like 20 years ago. It's fine. Okay, I'm good. Now, the 3 games we talked about today, I can say honestly, without a doubt, that Moss is my favorite of them, and possibly my favorite PSVR game too. So if you have a PSVR or any VR that supports it, really, I definitely recommend you pick up this game. And also, it's another easy platinum, just in case you're interested. Well guys, this brings us to the end of the first Look What I Finally Played video. I know I say this in like every video I put out, but I would love to do more of these because these specifically will give me a really good excuse to start clearing out my backlog of indie games. Plus they're really fun to write and record, so it's kind of just a win-win all around. So if you guys have any good suggestions of older games that I should possibly try and check out, leave them in the comments below. Also, I know in the most anticipated video I did mention I was doing another Pokemon video coming soon, and I am. I'm still working on it. It just ended up becoming a lot more work than I expected it to be. Like a lot. Like I think it's like 15 pages right now. So just bear with me. I will bring you a Pokemon video soon, I promise. But if you like Pokemon Sword Light, Lunar Dark, hey, I'm playing it. Go check it out. It's going to be good. But that's all I got for you today, so please leave a big old thumbs up down below. And if you're new here, hit subscribe and the bell so that we get cool notifications every time one of these videos comes out. And I will see you guys next time. The next thing I'm going to talk about is pretty unique. It's called
You're filming another video again. Look, wow.
You ran out of things to say, huh?
Yeah. I was going to say on the star.